What's up, King? You asked for a video on marijuana, weed, and the constituents of it. Let's start here. I always try to give this understanding that things need to start with a philosophy. Has to start with a real understanding of actuality and what goes on in nature. And we have to start from the basis of either A, the earth and everything is in order the way it should be, and it was given to us, and we came here and everything was perfected, or we think the earth screwed up and the idea of God screwed things up, and we started putting our hands into the cauldron and mixing things up and creating things that we thought would fix a dilemma. So we have to start with this idea that the organic original source, just like as we look out into nature and we can see bees making honey, and we can see trees dropping a seed and it becoming that exact tree, and we can see animals that create more of the same exact animals. They perfected the seed and then they perfected themselves. And so we have to start with this understanding of what the original plant is, the original plant. And then we have to look at alchemy and this idea of breathing in and breathing out as the two types of magic even. So the breath in takes everything from nature and collects it into self. It collects all the things. We've bound with everything. And then we can hold our breath, and right there inside of that is everything. And that's the distillation of everything and condensing. We distill, we condense, and we get the essence of what it is. And that essence is everywhere. So in truth, nothing needs to be changed. But because there is an out-breath that occurs, we breathe out all of the ideas and thoughts and thought forms and things that are inside of us. We breathe that out into nature. We breathe it outside of us. We put our hands on things. We start to create things. And some of our creations we forgot about. Some of our creations went a little awry. Some of our creations didn't, like the kings forgot about their kin. And the kings forgot about the family, their legacy. They forgot about creating all of that. And so as we breathe out, it's the idea of creating more of something. So in the realm of what we look at as the marijuana strains, I remember back when it was just growing as it did in nature and everything was perfect with the plant itself, with the medicine, with what it was. And there was no alchemy being done on it other than the process of burning it and ingesting the medicine through the smoke, or putting it into an oil compound. And that was the extent of it. But like we've done with everything, we said, oh, well, that's not the perfect medicine. All of these plant lives, we've adulterated these foods, we've started to genetically modify, and so we've taken all these weed strains and we've crossed and we've hybridized something, we've done this and we've done that. And the reason that this is done for the good reason is because there's such a bounty of different people out here that have specific injuries, have specific diseases within their temple because of everything that's gone awry on this plane, because of all of the capitalism and all of the different leveraged sources of mental, physical, and spiritual leveraging, meaning that this economic monetary system that has run amok because the belief in the moon and the money and the ISIS, it's caused a lot of disharmony, a lot of imbalances. And so those imbalances, the alchemists say, well, we can correct those individually. And so they started to make new strains of weed, new strains that would specifically target tiny. It's like going to a acupuncturist, and while you need to have an entire holistic view of the body. And while you need to have a holistic view of doing a complete overhaul on putting the needles just about everywhere and getting all of the energy centers moving, there are specific points that people have blockages and troubles with. And the idea of this alchemization, this alchemy, this alkalizing of the weed, the marijuana, the good things of it is it specifically targets something. The bad thing is no longer a holistic thing. People are now going down a rabbit hole, and this goes into every problem of it becoming legal, which means eagle, which means two wings. It means now it can be taxed. It used to be lawful, now it's lawful and legal. So underneath the guise of legality and taxes and helping all these things, it's actually going to be slightly cursed until things get figured out, slightly cursed with the burdens of what an economic system do, which taxation does, which is what happens when competition occurs. Weed in of itself, the idea is to bind people together and to harmonize. But now you have different shops and they want to make money and it's going to be taxed. So it goes, all of the philosophies and ideas that are bound up in corporations and bound up in taxation and an economic system now apply to what was a freeing substance now becomes regulated. Yes, each individual strain can do something, but where it started and what it should be is a holistic singular entity, a singular plant. No one's out there taking ayahuasca and trying to fix it. I mean, they have. They've done and take some some constituents out of each of the plants that go into that, and they've gone to different things and tried to adjust and change things. But it doesn't change the original vine, the original source that has the information. You can take the tree of life, you can take a lemon tree and you can graft onto that lemon tree limes and oranges and all of these other fruits, and it will grow and it will produce those seeds and those fruits. But the tree and the source and the trunk is the same. And so we need to in this idea of breathing in, breathing out, we need to see that within ourselves and within our philosophy that we have all of the solutions, that plant in and of itself was already the solution, that the sun was the solution, that the water was the solution, and those elements on their own were already perfected by nature, and now we're putting our hands on it trying to re-perfect something that was already perfect. Now, yes, there is a reason to use alchemy. There is a reason to distill out the essence and the source of something. So if we take these down to its the basic construct, when we use alchemy, even in the form of alcohol, and we extract plant life and substances and get the source of that and put it into tinctures, there's wisdom there, there's essence there. And we take the oils and we extract it that way, or we use vinegars, or we produce beer. There's certain ways that we can imbue life and pull the life and contain it so we can use it at a later date. And so let's just not get it confused as to what this weed is. And if we get to the original source code of it, that would probably be the best suited. But here's what we do again, and here's the dilemma and the trouble with it, is people always want this, oh, here's the solution. Weed cures cancer. Weed fixes this. Yes, it can help. It can cure those things, but if you continue on a diet, meaning your deity, meaning the things you're consuming, if you continued on eating meat and continued on doing all of these participating in habits of putting things into your temple that aren't organized, then you're still going to have a disorganized, unfeng shui life. Your internal system is still going to be out of order. You're going to be covering things up, and the weed may help to clean up the body and to get rid of some things. But if you keep putting the things in that aren't helping, then that isn't the solution. That isn't the as they put it, cure. But cure has to do with salt. And I did a video on that. We're not going to get into that here. So the weed is now, instead of being a singular entity of a solution by raising one up and raising one's consciousness up and doing something that's meditative and reflective. And now that's all of these things seen as little stair steps, little tiny, take a step up this stair and here's the solution. But people think they've solved something, solved their life, solved the great arcana, solved everything by consuming a singular plant substance that will relieve them or give them some sort of relief from the dis-ease. But then they become addicted, and this goes into addiction. And addiction is words, right? So their addiction to the belief that their strain of weed is the purple haze, or their strain of weed that will fix everything is this. But then they're addicted to that spice. Then they still need to obtain that money to get that plant product to go involved and get involved in the system. They're still addicted to that because that's the solution. That's what, when in reality, the solution is in the other direction. It's breathing in and taking all of the element in and just collecting it and being at that stillness. Because while there is medicine in there, that's not the whole thing. It's not the primary source. So we can use it medicinally, we can use it for recreation, we can use it for whatever we'd like. But as long as we don't idealize it as the Godhead or the perfect solution, as the panacea, as the singular panacea to life, as long as we use these things as the reason things should be called recreation, it's called a recreation, to create again. And to create these things rather than having them define us and be the absolute certainty that's how you fix it. Oh, it's always been the medicine, it's always fixed everything. But it's just part of it. Just like people not demonize alcohol when that's just not true at all. That's not right either. People like to demonize everything, and then, oh, this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. No, it's all about weights and balances and measures. The truth of what everything is no, the solution is to sit there and take a deep breath in and use pranayama. That's the solution. But surely we do that too long, then we want to get out in nature and participate and be involved in recreation and recreation of things. And that's using these substances, whatever they might be, as not a solution, but as a recreation, and not the spice of life. Just something, just like Indians use all different spices in their cooking. That's how it should be used. There's no standard. There's no standardization of this is how you fix something. Because you'll certainly come to the conclusion that if you really want to fix self, you would use the most basic structures of the universe. You'd warm yourself with a fire. You would drink clean water. You would breathe in clean air. And you would and you would ground yourself to the earth. See, these things are the solution. Everything else spits forth out of that. Everything else is just a reflection and a smaller version, a microcosm of what the whole thing is. It split self into 4 things, and then the 4 things got turned into this bounty of different kind of weeds, and this bounty of whatever it might be. And I really like this picture over to the right. It's an alchemical picture, and it shows something that I think most people, unless you're really involved in the occult, don't quite understand. And it's this idea of what the bones are, what death is. You see the sun and the moon there, and he's beating down the lizard or the dragon and the things that are of the physical nature. See, that dragon that would be normally just like Hanuman, just like Baal. It would be running around doing whatever it wanted. But the skeletal system, the bones, the inorganic, the death, as it were, is beating it down and cleaning it. And becoming the control Archon, the control point, rather than run around and do what the lower realms want. Because the lower realms of this as you'd put it, as the dragon, because people have the dragons, chasing the dragon. Well, the dragon's going to run all over the place. And when you flip it over and tell the dragon, well, yeah, we can participate in the lower realms, we can put these cloaks on and these clothes on and have this recreation, but there needs to be some ideas, a philosophy, a stronger philosophy of what life and what death is. And so, see, death isn't even dead. Death is still living. It's beating it down with what? It's using sage, it's using plant life, it's holding on to the organic world. But it's showing it what it is. But it's a unification of things. No longer be the beast, but contain the beast, use the beast. Let Baal be what Baal needs to do by cleansing it and turning it into a righteous thing, rather than it be the thing that runs all over creation doing whatever it wants. Because certainly, if it doesn't know it knows it can die. That's the difference. Death isn't concerned with dying. Do you see? Death can't be concerned with dying because it's already dead. But the confusing part to people that aren't dead is the death is living too. See, the things that think they're living, like that demon, like that dragon, it thinks it's alive and it thinks it can die. So it runs around doing whatever it can to consume of the world, to be participatory in the world. Because one day it's going to run out. Time's going to run out. Old Father, Saturnian Brotherhood, time's going to run out. But death knows time doesn't run out. It created the clocks. It created the time. It put the cloaks there. Cloaks are clocks. Look into that video that I made. Locks. It locks you to the sea. And so as soon as it flips the things around and death says, "Don't, hey, we can play games here. We can have fun, but you have to realize you can die. I cannot." So hopefully this makes a little bit of sense to you and answers your questions. If you have any more, please. No, excuse me, don't plea. There's no pleading. I'll do a video on that too. I'll just say it right here. Don't plea for anything. Plea is something that is a dominator principle. You tell kids, always say please and thank you. Well, no. You don't tell a child to plea for something. It puts it in an upside down world where it thinks it's not good enough. It has to go plea. Yeah, well, say thank you. Thank you is a wonderful thing to say. But when you ask the universe for anything, when you ask anyone, when you are as king, asking as the king, you ask for something, you don't plea for it. And you always are gracious and they say thank you. And if you'd like to, you're welcome. So you're welcome for this. Have a good day. Cheers.